Hey guys, welcome to my bow tactics and loadout video. So let's get started with tactics. First of all, you need to know that bow is the best weapon in my opinion when it comes to stealth gameplay, and that's just because it's only 3 loadout points and you don't need to and that's including like a silencer. Like you don't show up on the minimap when you're firing it, unlike semi-auto burst rifle and hunting rifle where you need to put in 2 extra points for a silencer, making it 4 instead of 3. So with the bow, you do want to get behind an opponent if you can. I would suggest it's a great stealth, but like right here, I get behind and they have no idea just because I want to show up on the mini map, and you can't really see any bullet trails coming from here, from the bow, if you have noticed. Like you can't see the arrows being fired at all. So from a distance, you can't really tell where the guy with the bow is shooting from, even if their teammate is to the side, and if they cannot see you, they cannot look at your... For example, if you see a semi-auto user firing a gun, right? And if you're a distance away and you cannot see the person, you can tell where the shots are coming from just because you can see the bullets going through. Now next thing I want to talk about is, remember in my Slayer tactic video I did talk about you can flanking enemies for the second supply box. I did the exact same thing here. This tactic is risky just because you're usually alone, and if you make a mistake you will die, but sometimes you can get your teammate to join in, like right there, and that will help you out. Unfortunately my teammate did die there, however, and that sometimes happens, but usually it wouldn't. Now here, let's talk about crouching versus standing when you're shooting with the bow. If you're behind cover, you want to sit down and then crouch and then shoot, just because if you're standing, you're going to have your upper body visible right away, clearly, and between your draw speed, they can pretty much put in like 1 or 2 shots, especially if your bow isn't upgraded. It does take a while to, get the second shot off sometimes. Obviously it's not as long as the hunting rifle, obviously not, but it's not as fast as maybe a semi-auto. Now, again over here, as you can see, I'm going to be using stealth real quick. I'm going to jump in here and then shoot the guy in the back. And once you shoot the guy in the back, sometimes it's a good idea to just finish him off with 1 more shot. But sometimes you just want to leave them, kind of hanging and wait for their teammate to come in. And when they do, pull out your bow and finish him off. Now, if you're gonna be corner shooting, you want to be standing. Always stand when you corner shoot, guys. Always. It's just a great little tip. Just because when you're crouching and you're shooting, the way you aim your bow is a bit different, and yeah. Now, for close range combat, I prefer using my board or just like nail board or something, just because they're super close to you, and sometimes the bow aim can be really iffy, especially if they're punching you. Your aim could be flying. So I do prefer using a board. Here this guy gets within to me close range and I'm just gonna nail board him, especially since he had armor on. One thing to know with the bow is if they have armor on and you break it, you will still do damage to their health. Yes, the bow does have overkill damage, which is why it's a really good thing. I love the fact that it has overkill damage. Obviously I would like the hunting rifle to have overkill damage as well, but can't have everything. Now again, I hit him once and then I'm gonna use my board to finish him off. If you have a board and you're using the board, just save it. If you get behind them, I've seen people that get behind enemies and then they'll run up from behind to nail board. If you're behind someone, they don't know you, just shoot them with the bow. Only use the board or nail board if they get close to you and then they're going after you. But if they're not after you, then feel free to save your board for for melee finishes. Now let's talk about drag shots. You can still do drag shots when you're using the kind of like the hunting rifle, where you aim the bow to the side on either left or right, and then you swipe across. So as you can see in these clips, I'm just swiping, and if they're corner shooting like that, feel free to just hold your aim steady, and then when they show up, get them. Again, I swipe my thing there, and remember, notice how I'm standing around corners. Remember, stand around corners and swipe your stick across for easy shots, for easy hits. Whether it's a headshot or a body shot, swiping works. Now let's get into long range. For the bow, I don't think, in my opinion, the bow isn't the greatest weapon in long range. It does take a while to aim, and sometimes there is a travel time, I've noticed, where even though if you aim the bow a little bit ahead, it's going to take about a split second or so before the arrow actually gets to the location, and if the enemy runs to it, then you will hit them. So if you're long range combat and you're moving around, aim a bit further ahead and then shoot it. Obviously if you can get close to them or behind them, then that is preferred, like right here. I get right behind this guy who was upstairs. Again, long range, not too bad. Take your time on the first shot for long range, but then the second shot, feel free to fire straight away. Now let's get into gameplay. Again, I'm gonna go on Bill's Town and I'm gonna flank the second supply box. I see all of them headed this way. Notice how I'm kind of staying between the truck and so that I'm not in clear line of sight. I see two guys right here and I'm gonna stay back and get them. I got one guy down right, so I'm gonna wait here and see if the other guy makes a move. Unfortunately, he's not making a move, but he does. He sees me, so I'm gonna start shooting as well. Usually, what I would have done was I would wait for that guy to revive, and then once he was reviving, I would start shooting at him. Now let's get into loadouts, because I know that's what you guys are somewhat waiting for. The first loadout I'm using for this gameplay is COVID Training level 3, First Aid level 2, and Reviver level 1. Now I prefer to use First Aid just because it's a really nice little boost to your parts, and you want to be upgrading your bow obviously. So you guys use First Aid. It's a great little perk. It's only 4 points if you use level 2, and it gets you 20 parts for every little heal that you do. Over here I just got about 100, 120 or somewhere, maybe even more. I'm not exactly sure, but like I just got tons of parts there. And it's not just 20, you get 20 plus you get like 5 or so skill points, so 25 pretty much, which makes a difference. Now over here I still see them coming, and I'm gonna peek out right here and shoot them. However, as you can see, the guy does run away, and you don't want to be chasing after enemies. Again, I stand up right here because before I wasn't standing, and then I realized I was making a mistake, so I do stand up to corner shoot. Try standing up, guys. Just remember that always stand when you're corner shooting. It helps because if you crouch and then try to corner shoot, your guy will peek out more than he really should, which is why you want to be standing. Again, I see this guy right here. One thing you would realize with the bow is if they're crouching like that and you're on the higher level, it's a lot easier to get headshots with the bow. Another loadout I do want to talk about is Crafter level 3 and Marathon Runner level 1. With the bow, just because it's only 3 points, it's a great idea to put in Crafter, and you can just go around the map collecting supply boxes and gifting items, again giving you a nice little boost to upgrade your bow. Marathon Runner I prefer with Crafter just because you're moving around quite a bit, and that helps as well. So you want to be using Marathon Runner just because it also helps you get out of sticky situations. If you end up in situations where it's pretty heavy combat based, you can just run away. Another loadout I do want to mention is with Brawler level 1. Brawler, again, as I said before, that I like to use the board to defend myself if the enemies get close to me. Obviously in this game where I didn't get a board, but remember Brawler also gives you an extra little boost on your shivs. So in the beginning when you do approach an enemy from behind because you're flanking them for the second supply box, you can get multiple shivs off sometimes, and that feels awesome if you do pull that off. But sometimes you don't want to flank second supply box, you just want to go with your team, maybe because the other team seems really high leveled and they're also a team of 4, and it can be somewhat dangerous to flank a really good team. You might just want to go and get a second supply box so you can get a nail board. Now, one more loadout I do want to mention is Sharpshooter level 2. Sharpshooter helps quite a bit with damage wobble, and if you're going a lot of times one-on-one head-up fights, Sharpshooter will give you an advantage. Just because against some users, the damage wobble that it causes can cause your bow aim to be flying everywhere, and you're gonna miss quite a bit with the bow. I don't think the bow is the greatest one-on-one head-up weapon, so which is why I use Sharpshooter, and that's just me. You might not need to use it. I use it sometimes if I'm gonna be playing a style which will require me to go one-on-one head-up against players. But usually I do prefer to flank, and that's why I don't use Sharpshooter as much. Now I know if you haven't noticed, but I had covert in all my loadouts, and that's because I would suggest always use covert with the bow, just because it's an awesome stealth weapon, and when you add covert on top of that, it makes it really powerful as a stealth loadout. Just because the bow is already stealthy, and then you have covert, which means that you cannot show up on the listen mode. Preferably use covert level 3 because then you cannot be marked either. So even if someone sees you, they cannot mark you. The team still don't know where you are unless they're obviously using mic, which renders it useless. However, And I've seen people teams that use mic, but yeah, still don't communicate locations of enemies. Or they might be like he's across you, and then I don't. Sometimes people still don't know where across is, but yeah, I'm just saying use code level. Even level 2 is fine because you don't show up on listen mode, and now everyone pretty much uses listen mode quite a bit, so use that. Anyways, this gameplay is somewhat. Oh, remember, know your spawn points on Billstown, once by the church and once on the other side. So if you don't see them on the other side, then most likely they're spawning on this side. Unfortunately, I did not see a guy there because he was hiding all the way at the back in the church. I still can't see him, but I think he was near the steps all the way back. I tried to use listen mode to spot him, but I'm pretty sure he was out of range. So I'm just gonna ignore him, kinda just go about my business. I see my teammate is coming in as well, so you know I do have backup. It's not like I'm going in alone. Now I'm gonna see him right there at the back, and again it's a long range shot, so I'm gonna take my time to shoot him, and I down him. So yeah, again, if they're long range, then take your time with the aim because it does take a while, and obviously if they're moving, then it can be pretty difficult to just get a bow aim off, and you might want to aim the bow a bit ahead of the enemy so that when they run to that spot, a split second later they'll get hit by it. If you can pull off a headshot from long range, then that's awesome, guys. Yeah. But I don't think I haven't pulled off a headshot for long range with the bow yet, so yeah. This guy goes down, and I'm gonna go in there and jump right behind him for a Batman shiv. Yeah, the poor guy didn't know what hit him. So yeah, with the bow again, just display really stealthily. Try to use listen. Yeah, use listen mode, guys. If you have a bow, use listen mode. Don't be afraid to use it. Remember, they cannot spot you because you're also using covert, so it's kind of an advantage. You know where they are, but they don't know where you are. Obviously, pay attention to your teammates still. You know, same tactic. When you're behind something, then feel like at this position I'm gonna crouch and shoot just because I'm behind the car. But if I was corner shooting around that wall, then I would be standing. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment, share, and subscribe.